Unit Test 3. Listening. Hello everyone. We're coming to the end of this module on Britain in the 19th century. We've looked at politics and met characters such as Gladstone and Disraeli. We've touched on war and the Empire. And of course we've studied Queen Victoria. Today I thought we would look more specifically at the role of women in society at this time. First of all, I want to talk about two women who gained fame during the Crimean War. I'm sure you've all heard of Florence Nightingale, haven't you?
Yes.
I thought so, but for those of you who may only be aware of her name, here are some facts. She was born in 1820 and lived until she was 90, which is a feat in itself for those days. She decided early on that she wanted to be a nurse, but it took years to persuade her parents to allow her to follow this career. She came from a middle-class family, and her parents were intent on her getting married and settling down into a life of domesticity. She finally wore them down and was allowed to study nursing in Germany in 1850. She then became a nurse in London in 1853. At the outset of the Crimean War, she was sent with a group of nurses to take care of the wounded soldiers in Scutari, now part of Istanbul. During this time, she began to understand the need for cleanliness in hospitals, and on her return she masterminded a report which demonstrated the importance of hygiene when treating the sick. She continued campaigning for better conditions in hospitals in England. She started with the simple idea of encouraging nurses to wash their hands as often as possible, something that is now part and parcel of every hospital worker's day. As a result, she is considered to be the founder of modern nursing. Someone else who worked in nursing at this time, who is less well known but no less remarkable, is Mary Seacole. Born Mary Grant in 1805, she grew up in Jamaica in the Caribbean. Her father was a Scottish soldier and her mother was Jamaican, so she was of mixed race. She learned nursing from her mother, who ran a house for injured soldiers. Surprisingly for that period, Mary was quite the adventurer and travelled to visit different places in the Caribbean, Central America and England, where she increased her knowledge of medicine. She married Edwin Seacole in 1836, but he died in 1844 and they didn't have any children. In 1854, while she was visiting England, she asked the War Office in London to send her to the Crimea to help nurse the soldiers, but they refused. It's not clear why she wasn't allowed to volunteer, but it probably had something to do with her position in society. In those days, the position of mixed-race people in society in England was uncertain. The refusal did not deter Mary, and showing her determination, she set out on her own for the Crimea and established a hotel for sick and convalescing soldiers. She also visited the battlefields at times and gained such a reputation that she became known as Mother Seacole. At the end of the war, she returned to England and published a book about her travels. She continued caring for the sick in England and Jamaica until she died in 1881. Although these women came from very different backgrounds, they were both forced to fight for their beliefs and to achieve their ambitions. They were both battling prejudices of the times regarding the position of women in society and the issue of race. Although Florence Nightingale gained more fame and perhaps left a greater mark in history's notebooks, Mary Seacole also gave a great deal to society at the time. Now, I would like you to investigate the role of women during this period in more detail. I'd like you to find examples of other women who were trying to break the mould. People often see the suffragette movement of the 1900s as the start of women's liberation, if you want to call it that. However, I think it started before then, and I'd like you to help me prove this theory.